Hey Summoners, welcome to another new and exciting video where we're going to talk about the Magic Shop today. And in doing so, we're going to utilize this great website, swarfarm.com, and quickly again, shout out to Pork Smash, as I've mentioned before, awesome human being. So what we're going to do today, and this is something that I had meant to make actually probably a month or two ago when I had released my video around the Giants drop rate. A lot of you had given me feedback that, oh, it's better to not buy premium packs and refresh Crystal Shop, yada, yada, yada. Well, today we are going to take general knowledge and put that to the test with quantifiable data. And in doing so, like I said, we're going to utilize Swar Farm here. So we're going to go to their data logs, and after we get to the data logs to populate, sorry, browser. There we go. We are going to go down to this nifty thing called the Magic Shop. And here we can see some data. And really the question is, what does it mean for you as a summoner, and what does it mean about spending your crystals? Dun-dun-dun-dun. So reality says a few things. So here we go. We have our logs, 52K roughly, 53K almost actually, and very, very good amount of data to help us get there. So one of the things that we have here is we have a frequency of appearance. So essentially, you know, what's the rate of appearance, or how much it's coming up. Then we have this item details here. And this is one of the things that I really like, that I do know in the past has been misinterpreted. So essentially what it's saying is how many crystals that you need to spend. So average crystals spent refreshing the shop for the item to appear. Now this is important, and one of the things I do want to call out is a couple months ago, I know when I looked at this site, the number was actually more around 70, 75-ish. And I will talk about that here in a minute and why that's also important. But there were also lower logs. So I think now that when we talk about reverting to a mean, this is probably a little bit better mean. And I will talk about what it means for you in your shop refreshes and your spending of crystals. So first off, one of the things I had mentioned, and I want to clear this up, was the purchase of premium packs for summoning sessions that I've done versus shop refreshes. Now, it's going to come down to two things. One is going to be kind of your personal preference. Two is looking at the data. So when I say personal preference, I mean it's very close. When I had said that this number was roughly 70, 75, when you get to that number, it is not efficient to utilize average crystal spend to refresh the shop. Now again, remembering this is average and we're using that as our mean, it could go either way. So it might not necessarily be efficient based off how many crystals you have, but something to keep in mind. So when we get to that 70-ish, a little less crystal cost, it might not be efficient. And here's part of the reason why. At 66 here, you have a approximate cost. I think it's like 730. I deleted it. Shoot. It's like around 720, 730. So essentially, you get 11 summoning scrolls in your premium pack, which is 750 crystals. I think it was like 720 crystals that you would have if you take this number here. So essentially, you have roughly 30 crystals left. Well, with 30 crystals that you spend in the shop to buy mana, that only nets you 40k mana. So something to think about is that you're also getting the 100k mana. So what's this driving, right? So what I'm trying to get at here is when we talk about shop refreshes, it's typically more of a late game strategy. And part of that strategy is the fact that you have so much mana you don't know what to do with. And I've been playing for over a year. I don't know how these people have loads and loads of mana. I mean, I just spent yesterday, 2 days ago, taking a 6-star rune from level 14 to 15, and it cost me 1.5 million mana. I was actually pissed. So the thing is, I don't know where these people get these things to get so much mana, but good for you, and I'm glad you have that opportunity to make that decision. So when we go back to personal choice, I'm telling you that I'm getting towards late game, run fairly quickly, but I still prefer to spend my crystals on premium packs instead of shop refreshes, just because I don't have the mana. Now, when we talk about this, the big caveat, and I do want to point this out and why it is very, very important if you're looking at that premium pack crystal spend analysis. The biggest thing that you're going to get is you're getting these other items when you're doing a refresh. So if we collectively think about it this way, where you have approximately 200-ish average crystals to get a LD times 5, and then 200 to get our legendary, and then another 150 to get our summoning stones. Now, the thing is, in my belief, is that these items are actually independent, or not independent. It's actually a determinable factor. I did some math, and I was sort of able to prove this out. And again, talking back with Pork Smash, who's also kind of gets a little bit more additional analysis. There's never been like 2 mystical scrolls in one shop refresh. I've never seen it. It wasn't in the data, but if you summoners are out there, please comment and let us know, because this is really going to help determine some of the math. And when we look at refresh rates, things like that, there was a post again arguing a while back in Reddit that was talking about the data being independent of each other. So each time that you would refresh slot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, actually all the way down through 12, had an independent chance of having a mystical scroll. So I mean, essentially you could get 2 mystical scrolls in a shop refresh. But that's not, I don't believe that's the case. And so far the data hasn't shown us that. But again, please comment if I'm wrong, because it really helps determine kind of some of these algorithms and things. But the biggest thing though is you could, I'm not saying this has happened, but I have had this happen a few times where I've seen either 2 of these together independently, but I do think you could maybe potentially have all 4. I don't know for sure, but something to think about. But the idea behind this and why this is important in how you spend your crystals, not only is mana a number 1 influencer, but within 200 summon or 200 crystal spends and refreshes, you have the ability to hit this 3 times, hit this at least once, hit this at least once, and then hit this once. So it's an opportunity to get 3 mystical scrolls times 2 your summoning stones on average again, times 5 legendary pieces, and a times 5 light dark pieces. Now why that's important is because we have an opportunity to overlap. Obviously in a premium pack, you have a confined parameter that's saying, here's what you get. Here you have an opportunity to get multiple other things outside that. So it might be worth it. I could have extrapolated this out to showing what you could get for 750. And if you did that, that's essentially like almost 4 times this. So quickly, that would be, 12 mystical scrolls. What was that, 8? Summon stones, 20 and 20. So kind of get you almost there to that full, quarter, whatever, piece for your amount of, God, I'm blanking, sorry. Item pieces for your summoning scroll. Now the caveat with all that is the other thing I want to add is this average mana cost. So you have to take that into calculation. I don't think a lot of people probably think that way sometimes, but going at the data, if you're going to take this strategy, if you total everything up again within that 200 kind of crystal spend parameter, it's going to cost you roughly 720k mana. So for every 200 crystals you're spending, you're also going to roughly spend 720k mana. So for 1,000, so 5 times that, right? That's like 3.5 million mana, almost 1,000 crystals. It's a lot of mana. So something to keep in mind, because then that's taking away from other stuff like leveling up your runes, doing your evolution costs, stuff like that. It could be negligible for you, but kind of keep that in mind because it's very important versus, hey, if you do a premium pack buy, you're getting the mana to pay for the summons. On top of that, I didn't even include the summon costs for this stuff as well. So those are kind of the two things that I wanted to really point out about the Magic Shop because I think it's really important. I do think that it kind of takes away that general knowledge of you should always buy premium packs, or sorry, um, do shop refresh over premium packs. I actually look at it as a decision tree. I actually believe still aggregately because of the costs, and I've done currency calculations, so your digital currency in game, stuff like that, to prove that the value is actually better than um, using your crystals to buy premium packs, just the values there versus doing shop refresh. But again, it depends on the parameters of what you're looking for. And that currency thing's a whole nother deal that I don't want to get into right now. But the reality is you have that as your kind of base decision tree. If you're newer, mid game potentially, obviously even at late game potentially, depending on how much mana you have. I look at premium packs if you're specifically targeting mystical scrolls to be the better deal. If you're not and you're looking for other things, other opportunities, then obviously please refresh the shop because you're going to make better and make do on that kind of 200-ish crystal refresh by getting these other items. It's going to cost you another, boatload of mana, but it's going to get you more diverse options. The other thing we didn't talk about was all the runes and things like that, which I don't necessarily want to do because the point of this video was to kind of look at the contrast between the spend of crystals with premium packs and whatnot. So essentially, again, that's kind of how I look at the decision tree. It's really where you're at in the game, what it is you're trying to accomplish, but I still generally believe that buying the premium packs is better than the shop refreshes for those reasons. But again, with the caveat of if you're a late game player and obviously you have boatloads of mana to spare, and honestly, I think the most I've ever been at is like 3 million mana. So I it doesn't work for me. It might work for a lot of you other godly accounts that are out there floating around. I don't know how many can exist, but just again, just something to keep in mind. So I hope that you find that conclusion either noteworthy for yourself in making a decision. Ideally, I wanted to try and help you in analyzing how you want to spend your crystals. I think it's important. Obviously, in my opinion, there's no value to having your crystals just sit there, build in your currency. Um, Again, it just depends on what you do. Obviously, in my opinion, spending them and utilizing them for things like additional mystical scrolls, a premium pack for all your leveling up capabilities, their scrolls again, and mana, or in this case, summoning pieces, is very important because it's going to help progress your account. And obviously, you can then, you know, look at your summoning rates, which I did in another episode that you can take a look at to kind of, calculate. So you could literally calculate, a fun corporate term of supply chain all the way through the game and figure out how long it's going to take you time wise, how long it's going to take to acquire X monster via this route, stuff like that. But I'm kind of going off on a tangent and I don't want to do that. So quickly again, to just wrap up and conclude, I appreciate you guys always viewing the videos. I appreciate the subscribers, likes, feedbacks, share. Again, please comment if you've seen two mystical scrolls, because this is the one thing that's really grinding my gears, as we would like to say in Family Guy, just because of the fact that, it helps prove out the algorithms, and it is a very important piece to doing that quantitative analysis. Again, looking at qualitatively, it's really going to depend on where you're at with your account, but I think generally for the majority of the players, it's kind of like the 1% versus the 99%. I do believe that spending your crystals on a premium pack is going to give you more value than shop refreshes, unless you're specifically targeting these other items, which in that case, you shouldn't do the premium packs. So, anyway, summoners, always appreciate it. Wish you the best of luck. Until next time, may your summonings be blessed with many net fives, and keep on summoning. Mithras out.